Hello students, welcome to Surface Chemistry Part 9. Let us begin this part with understanding the concept called coagulation. Students, as you know that all colloidal particles have charge in them. They carry same charge, either they carry positive charge or negative charge. And the presence of the charge is responsible for stability of the colloidal particles. What will happen, suppose if we remove the charge from the surface? As we remove the charge present on the colloidal particles, these colloidal particles, they start aggregating, thereby they lead to form precipitate. So this process of formation of precipitate is itself called as coagulation. Now let us see the definition. Coagulation is defined as the precipitation of colloidal particles by removal of the charge associated with colloidal particles. In the case of lyophobic colloid, by removal of charge we can bring out the coagulation, whereas in the case of lyophilic colloids, by removing the charge and layer in the medium we can bring coagulation. Now let us see different methods applied to form the coagulation. The first one is just by boiling or by freezing. Students, when we boil the sol or a colloidal substance, in boiling, the electrolyte adsorbed by the sol particles is reduced and the particles are coagulated. During boiling, the charge present on the colloidal particles, they get reduced. As a result of that, association of these particle takes place, aggregation of this particle takes place, leading to the formation of coagulation. Similarly, during freezing process, the dispersion medium is removed, and since no medium remains, the particles they aggregate and thereby they lead to formation of the coagulation or precipitation. The second method is by electrophoresis. Students, you already studied the process of electrophoresis. Electrophoresis is nothing but movement of colloidal particles under influence of applied electric field. As these colloidal particles, they move towards respective oppositely charged electrode, their charge is discharged and those particles aggregate and thereby they lead to formation of the coagulation. So what happens, students, on reaching the electrode, the particles charge get discharged and they aggregate, thereby they lead to formation of the coagulation. The third method applied for the coagulation is by adding sol. So which type of sol we have to add to the present colloidal solution, that depends on the charge present on the present colloidal solution. Students, the coagulation of solution may be done by adding another colloidal solution containing particles which carry charge opposite to the charge of its particles. Students, suppose if we have negatively charged colloidal solution, then we have to add other colloidal solution in which particles carry positive charge. So automatically neutralization of charge takes place and thereby coagulation takes place. For example, ferric hydroxide sol is positively charged sol and it contains positively charged colloidal particles in it. By adding arsenious sulfide, sol that is negatively charged bring about coagulation. So this process, both sols get mutually coagulated. The next method employed is by adding solvent. When a suitable solvent is added to the colloidal solution, solvent that forms bond with the medium either through the hydrogen bond or through the dipole-dipole moment. As a result of that, colloidal particles they get dehydrated and they lead to formation of coagulation. So this method is useful for the precipitation of hydrophilic colloid, students. If solvents like alcohol or acetone which have affinity for water are added to the hydrophilic colloids, see now what happens, alcohols or acetone they are going to form hydrogen bond with solvent medium, dispersion medium, that is nothing but water. As a result of that, colloidal particles are coagulated due to dehydration. The next method is by adding suitable electrolyte. As you know that lyophobic particles are easily coagulated by adding addition of an electrolyte. You know that the stability of the colloidal particle is due to the charge they carry on the surface. The colloidal particles absorb ions of opposite charge to that present on the face of the particles. Suppose if we neutralize the charge present on the surface, then colloidal particles segregate and they lead to formation of the coagulation. Students, in this process what happens? Colloidal particles they carry their own charge. For example, assume that ferric hydroxide we used, then it absorbs ferric ions and positively charged. Suppose if I add an electrolyte like sodium sulfate, then sulfate ion is going to neutralize the plus charge present on the colloidal particle. As a result of that, these colloidal particles aggregate and they lead to formation of the coagulation. The precipitation action of the ions on addition of electrolyte, students, depends on two things. One is sign of the charge, whether they carry positive charge or negative charge. Second one is valency of the ion. Valency of the ion here indicates whether they carry plus 1, plus 2, plus 3 or minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, like that. We know that ions of opposite sign to those present on the surface of the particle cause precipitation of the particles. The positively charged ions of an electrolyte will cause precipitation of negatively charged colloidal particles, whereas negatively charged ions of an electrolyte will cause the precipitation of positively charged particles. The precipitation power of an electrolyte increases very rapidly, students, with increase in the valency of the anion or cation. In the case of negatively charged colloidal sol or a solution, the decreasing order of ability to cause coagulation is like this. It is a aluminium ion in plus 3 charge has highest tendency to cause coagulation. Next it is magnesium, then it is Na plus. So which one is required minimum amount? Suppose if they ask this question in the exam, then answer is going to be Al3 plus ion, because it carries more charge, hence it requires in minimum amount to cause the coagulation of negatively charged sol. And suppose if question arises like this, which ion required in maximum amount to cause the coagulation, then answer is going to be Na plus, because it carries only plus 1 charge and it requires in more quantity to cause the coagulation of negatively charged sol. Similarly, the decreasing order of ability to cause coagulation of negatively charged ions to that of positively charged colloidal sol can be written in this order. It is a phosphate ion with the highest minus 3 negative charge has more ability to cause the coagulation than sulfate and sulfate than chloride. So here once again they ask question like this. They give sodium phosphate, sodium sulfate and sodium chloride, and they ask you the question which one required in minimum amount to cause the coagulation of negatively charged sol. Then answer is going to be sodium phosphate, because phosphate ion has a maximum negative charge. The effect of these factors on the coagulation of colloidal particles were stated by Hardy-Sculls and William Hardy, and their law is known as Hardy-Sculls law. Now let us see Hardy-Sculls law or Sculls-Hardy law. Before that, let us see the rules. Ions of opposite sign to those present on the surface of the particle cause precipitation of the particles. The precipitation power of an electrolyte increases very rapidly with the increase in the valency of anion or cation. Thus, the precipitating power of ions decreases in this order. In the case of positively charged ions, it is Al3 plus that has a maximum ability of causing precipitation and required in minimum amount. Where during causing precipitation of positively charged sol, it is a phosphate that is required in minimum amount and has maximum ability. Differences between coagulation and flocculation. When concentration of electrolyte added is high, then it is called coagulation, where when concentration of electrolyte is added low, then it is called flocculation. Both this coagulation and flocculation comparable to that of precipitation. So hence the coagulation value or flocculation value can be defined like this. It is the minimum amount of electrolyte in millimoles that must be added to 1 liter of the colloidal sol to bring about complete coagulation or precipitation. Smaller the flocculation or coagulation value of an electrolyte indicates greater ability of that electrolyte to cause the precipitation. To compare the relative coagulating powers of two electrolytes for the same colloidal sol, we people are using the coagulation value, precipitation value or flocculation value. Now let us see the new system of colloids called emulsions. In the case of emulsion, both dispersed phase and dispersion medium are liquids and both are immiscible. Liquid dispersed in another immiscible liquid is called as emulsion. Types of emulsions. We have two types of emulsions. The first one is oil in water emulsion and the second one is water in oil emulsion. In the case of oil in water emulsion, dispersed phase is liquid and dispersion medium is also liquid. So in the case of oil in water, oil is dispersed phase and water is a dispersion medium. In the case of water in oil type of emulsion, water is a dispersed phase and oil is dispersion medium. The example for oil in water is milk, whereas the example for water in oil is cod liver oil. Now let us see distinctions between oil in water and water in oil type emulsions. In the case of oil in water type of emulsion, oil is disperse phase and water is dispersion medium. Whereas in the case of water in oil type of emulsion, water is the disperse phase and oil is the dispersion medium. The second one is water is continuous phase in oil in water, whereas oil is continuous phase in water in oil type of emulsion. The emulsions of oil in water are unstable and sometimes they separated into two layers on standing for longer time. For stabilization of an emulsion, a third component called emulsifying agent is generally used. Some commonly used emulsifying agents are as follows. Some commonly used emulsifying agents are as follows. For oil in water, that is the first one let us take, and second one for water in oil. For the first one let us see. Proteins, gums, soluble soaps are used as emulsifying agents in the case of oil in water type of emulsion, whereas insoluble soaps, long chain alcohols and lamp black are used as emulsifying agent in the case of water in oil type of emulsions. Now let us see the next concept, that is it. Now students, let us see how emulsifying agent works. Emulsifying agent forms protective layer around the dispersed phase and thereby it gives stability to the emulsion. For example, in the case of milk, there is a emulsifying agent called casein that gives stability to the milk. Now let us see de-emulsification. It is a process of breaking an emulsion to yield constituent liquids. Let us see the methods employed for it. The first one, emulsions can be broken by heating or centrifuging or by adding an electrolytes. And the second one, by chemical destruction of emulsifying agent. That means by adding acids or bases, etc. Colloids around us. The first one is the blue color of the sky. Dust particles along with what air scatter blue light which reaches our eyes and the sky looks blue to us. Fog and mist. These droplets, being colloidal in nature, continue to float in air in the form of mist or fog. When a large mass of air containing dust particles is cooled below its dew point, the moisture from the air condenses on the surfaces of these particles, forming fine droplets. It is possible to cause artificial rain by throwing electrified sand or spraying a soil carrying charge opposite to that one on clouds from an aeroplane. Blood. It is a colloidal solution of an aluminoid substance. The septic action of alum and ferric chloride solution is due to coagulation of blood forming a clot which stops further bleeding. Milk, butter, ice creams, these are some more colloidal systems that we come across in our daily life. Okay, milk, butter, alva, ice creams, fruit juices, etc. are all colloids in one form or other. Even soils. Fertile soils are colloidal in nature, in which humus acts as a protective colloid. On account of colloidal nature, soils absorb moisture and nourishing materials. Formation of delta. When river meets sea, there is a formation of delta. A precipitated matter is formed. Coagulated matter is formed. It is mainly due to river contains negatively charged colloidal particles in the form of clay, whereas sea contains positively charged particles. So, as river meets sea, coagulation of these negatively charged particle takes place and thereby formation of delta. River water is a colloidal solution of clay. Sea water contains a number of electrolytes. When river water meets the sea water, the electrolytes present in sea water coagulate colloidal solution of clay, resulting in its deposition with the formation of delta. Application of colloids. Electrical precipitation of smoke. Smoke is a colloidal solution of solid particles such as carbon, arsenic compounds, dust, etc. present in air. The smoke, before it comes out from chimney, it is led through the chamber containing two electrical plates. One carries positive plate, another carries negative plate. As this dust particles which comes along with smoke, being colloidal in nature, charged in nature, they are attracted by the electrodes and they get deposited. So what happens, students? The smoke, before it comes out from the chimney, it is led through the chamber containing plates having charge opposite to that carried by the smoke particles. As a result of it, these colloidal dust particles or smoke particles are get attracted by the electric field and they are adsorbed. And this process is called electrical precipitation of smoke. See here, high voltage electrode of 30,000 volts is applied. So here we have one charged electrode. Now when we pass the smoke through this inlet, The smoke along with the dust particles enters here and colloidal particles attracted and they get coagulated. And gases free from the carbon particles enters to the atmosphere. The particles on coming in contact with these plates lose their charge and get precipitated. Purification of drinking water. The water obtained from natural sources often contains suspended impurities or colloidal impurities. Potash alum, potassium sulfate, aluminum sulfate 24H2O is the formula of the potash alum that is added to such water to coagulate the suspended impurities and make water fit for drinking purpose. Even in the case of medicines, we get large number of colloids. Most of the medicines are colloidal in nature. Colloidal medicines are more effective because they have large surface area and are therefore easily assimilated. For example, argyrol is a silver sole that is used as a eye lotion, whereas milk of magnesia is used in the case of stomach disorders, generally in the case of gastric. Tanning. Animal hides are colloidal in nature. When a hide which has a positively charged particle is soaked in tannin, which contains negatively charged colloidal particles, mutual coagulation takes place. This results hardening of leather. This process is also termed as tanning. Photographic plates and films. Photographic plates or films are prepared by coating an emulsion of light sensitive silver bromide in gelatin over glass plates or celluloid films. Thank you, students.